For Lord of the Rings Realms in Exile, their 3.0 Elves and Easterling expansion has been released. I used the word expansion intentionally because so much has been added in, and I'm going to show all of that to you right here and now. Also, if you want to check it out, it has been released and there's a link to it right down below in the video description. Also, do check out their Discord community too. I'm going to take a bit to show you different features and new factions, and that way whenever you check out the mod, you'll know a little bit more about what's in here. I won't show you every little new addition, that way you'll have a few surprises, but if you want to know a general overview, if you want to see a lot of details about decisions or new items, I'll show you that for all of the major additions. But that changelog for the mod is massive. It's like a small book. Do you remember how back in the day there was only Gondor, Mordor, Rohan, and a few other places too, like Umbar? Well, there's so much more added in. The map is more than doubled in size. I'm currently looking at the Empire Titles view so that you're able to see a few new changes here. We've got Rovanion over to the east of the Greenwood, which means we've got elves, but we'll look at them in just a bit. And a bit further to the east, you've got the Sea of Rune, so they've added in Rune. Khand is over here to the east of Mordor, and we have many other areas added in too. I remember when I last played, there was Umbar, and you could conquer a few other lands, but there's so much more to look at. I was actually showing my friends the mod, and we were looking way down over here, just checking things out, and we thought we had reached Gondor. I was zoomed in. No, we made it over to Belakar. That's how much land that has been added. Over to the east, we've got the Golden King, who we'll also look at, but here's a very important addition. Valinor. I didn't see Valinor before, but we've got many iconic characters from the First Age. I read the Silmarillion first of Tolkien's many books, which is a weird story in and of itself, but that's why I love all the First and Second Age elves. Ben Arfin, we've got Ingwe of Valimar, Ingwien, Olwe, and just many more that we'll have to dive into. Let's begin by looking at the elves, who again are added in. They are brand new, and we're going to look at Thranduil of the Greenwood. He's got his child Legolas, his only child and heir, his sister Ilmarian. Everything here has been painstakingly just really thought through. If you're someone who only knows about the lore from maybe the movies, you can learn everything you need just by reading what they've put here. And they've got nested tooltips and nested tooltips. I mean, like I said, you could just keep on going and you would never run out of information. It's incredible. Though the elves have a very unique mechanic, especially over here. You know how there's usually impassable terrain? Well, the wilderness can be colonized. These lands are a wilderness, a no-man land. Few feet now tread here, save for those of wanderers, afraid of nomads and beasts wild and fell. Yet perhaps they could be settled again. To settle a colony, click on the county and select Colonize. Now let's have a more detailed look at what they've put here. Oh, and by the way, there are custom little buildings all over the map too, outside of actually just having special buildings in a slot. So to colonize, we would need what? 550 gold. It's a deep forest. The number of blockers here, let's see. Blockers are buildings in wilderness counties that represent obstacles to the colonization of that area. We've got spider nests, and you're able to see what they do to us too. The children of Ungoliant, giant and fell spiders, make their home here, in bear dens. So over time, if you wanted to, you could just maintain your lands and begin to expand back into the woods and take over all of that. Colonization in a Lord of the Rings mod. Tell me that's not cool. Before we dive into all of the many special buildings, keep in mind there are invented languages made by Tolkien, and from those languages we have names and words and pronunciation that I'm not really adjusted to. I've read these words, but I've not heard them spoken aloud. So if you're like a super fervent Tolkien fan and you know how to pronounce everything, just tell me down below phonetically how to really handle a word, and I'll remedy how I pronounce it. But over here we have Aradrend. That's a special building. And like I said before, you're going to see custom models all over the map. I mean, that alone adds so much immersion. But one thing that a friend of mine really loves, and I do too, are special buildings. It makes it important to capture certain areas, it gives flavor, it might even change up your entire strategy of how you play the game. So our special building, we get a lot of tax money, a much higher fort level, it should be difficult to try to take, and we get a lot of prestige too. There's just so much information, as I did mention before. You're able to expand outwards by building new holdings. That would of course take time, and thankfully, the supply limit here is very high. Nothing is worse than trying to wage war, but dealing with attrition every step of the way. Now, we've got Thranduil, and he's got many of his iconic items, not to mention the Elven Faith, and culture, which we'll look at in just a moment. But here we've got the Crown of the Woodland Realm. A lot of renown, prestige, vassal opinion. I won't get into the details of the numbers, but I just want to show you what's here. Now, he's also got his iconic and well-known weapons, Arnthil and Ungol Dagnir. These are really good. I mean, we're talking about just being able to fight in the woods. The childhood sledge of Prince Legolas, and a few books too, like The Children of Hurin, an incredible book as well. Hurin is an awesome story, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't done that yet. We've got 3 holy sites for the Elven faith here. Elda Viatali, hopefully I was close to that actual pronunciation, but here's Karas Galadhan over in Lothlórien. We've got Amon Lonk, which is also known as Dol Guldur, controlled by the orcs, but we'll look at that later on. And we already have our capital, which is another holy site, so we have 2 out of 3, but not all of them. Now, for our faith, we've got Grace of the Firstborn. Characters can decide to meditate in seclusion, reducing stress and possibly gaining theological insights. And down over here, we've got a special doctrine, Teachings of the Wise. So free people's faiths are considered righteous, and if you're of the Echoes of Aenor, or the People of Darkness, your faiths are considered to be astray. Let's see. People of Darkness faiths with a People Apart doctrine are considered hostile, and forces of evil faiths and People of Darkness faiths with the Dominion of the Dark doctrine are considered evil. Okay, so there's just like different gradients and tiers when it comes to who we really see as evil or just astray. What I really like about any modification, especially overhaul ones, is that they add in decisions. For me, that's vital. I want to have some type of major goal to really try to work towards. And so ours for Thranduil is to restore the Greenwood. For generations, the elves of the Greenwood have slowly retreated, gathering in the northern third of the forest, abandoning their previous capitals. So we would get the High Kingdom of Greenwood, a major empire title. Let's have a look at that real quick, right over here. So you would need to colonize, but also take over Dol Guldur. You would also get many benefits conferred, but I don't need to go after those details just yet. It looks like the speed of Elven Settlement Counselor task within Greenwood is doubled, so that alone would also allow you to colonize even faster. We could also, as I may have mentioned before, sell to Valinor. That's where you just get to leave. You are deposed, you lose your claims, and you sell west. Thranduil has taken the hidden straight road out of the spheres of Arda to join his people in the Undying Lands. Amazing. Let's do that. You have been deposed. So, if you just want to say, hey, I want to retire my leader, you don't have to die. You could just say, alright son, or daughter, I'm leaving, goodbye. And so Legolas gets to be in charge. If we wanted to, we could actually have that happen in the very beginning of some campaign, then do that way Legolas would be in charge. We could have him get married and change up a few things. It would be difficult to find someone for him to marry right off the bat, but that is an option. So again, you could do all that you wanted to do and move on if you have some heir that you want in power. Before we move on to check out the Moriquendi, let's have a look at our men-at-arms. We've got Sylvan Rangers, Greenwood Swordsmen, Beladagnir, Gilded Guard, Greenwood Archers, Royal Elk Riders. I mean, we have everything over here, so that's another flavor component for any faction that I love. You've got to have your custom men-at-arms, and you've got them here. They all have their different advantages, and it also just makes you feel like, okay, I'm actually using an elven army. Now to check out the Moriquendi, the Elves of Darkness. They never saw the light of the trees of Valinor, and they were great trees, by the way. So they're over here. It's a great location. I like it a lot because you're northeast of the Sea of Rune, you're surrounded by many enemies, and your one good friend early on would probably just be Dorwinion over to the west. They have many soldiers, and they would make great friends. Of course, you could connect to Del over here to the northwest as well. That's an option too. But let's check out Lanthir and his custom items. So we've got his banner, of course, but more importantly, his harp. Oh, he knows how to just crank up his tunes. Oh, I love it a lot. Yeah, so he's kind of like a bard character. He's able to romance people, a lot of attraction, opinion. It would probably be easier for him to make friends, I do believe. For his family, we've got 3 living members. We'll check that out real quick. He's got 2 children, a son and a daughter. And he's meant to be nearly 5,000 years old. He looks very young. So let's have a look over here at our men-at-arms. We've only got a few. We've got our pikemen, our bowmen, swordsmen, and over here, some mounted archers. Oh, wait, there's one more. A monster unit. Spirits of the River. That refers to the lesser fae who dwelled in Middle-earth. 760 damage. So we've got our own monster units. Okay, that alone is pretty darn cool. You also need piety to recruit them. Now, let's have a look at our decisions. Oh, we could found a new empire. That's an option to make our own Moriquendi Empire. But we could also send out an embassy to Elven lands. We are isolated and without allies in our designs. Against a shadow that is rising, we must put aside old rifts and approach our distant kin. Oh. So, I need to completely control our kingdom, for one. That would be option number 1 to focus on. I would need illustrious fame, a lot of gold, and 1,000 prestige. We should definitely just do that right now to check out what happens. For their custom decision, they could send out an embassy to Elven lands. You've got to completely control your kingdom. I went ahead and gave us some gold and prestige so that we're able to check it out. We are isolated and without allies in our designs. Against a shadow that is rising, we must put aside old rifts and approach our distant kin, the elves from distant lands. And so we get a nice little unique quest line. Part 2 of our event chain. So right now we've got to pick our ambassador. When it comes to what we have at the moment, let's pick our steward. She's got 23 for her skill. And here's Elven Settlement, if you want them to focus on doing that. There. I receive a letter from my ambassador. My lord, we have arrived at the court of Legolas of Lothlórien and have been well received. In order to further my mission, I believe it is now time to organize an event in which the Aran would be invited. To introduce them to our customs, what should we start with? And so we've got some options over here. Bring a bard. Let's do that. We should be known for song. We can be heroes. My liege, we have organized singing recitation with Aran Legolas. We brought our best poets and musicians and invited him to do the same. And so, there's even information about historic events. Like I said, you could just look at this and you would know everything that you need to know about the setting. Oh, he liked it. Good. Now, I wonder what rewards we would pick up. Let's have a banquet of our best cuisine here for the second half of our mission. And he had a great time. There's no party like an Averin party. Knock on wood. So, our embassy has reached its conclusion. I believe if it goes really well, you get more options. And because we did so well, we get 3 options to ally him. If we had one choice go awry, then we would be able to get a weapon or a warrior. But in our current case, we could ally with him. That's a great, great boon to have. So you've got to pick carefully, but once you do, you could form your alliance, and now we have a good friend who could help us out. And as we conquer over to the west, moving through these people, we would be able to have a tighter connection with our elves over in the Woodland Realm. And now we're in Caras Galadhon for the last leg of our Elven tour. We've got Lady Galadriel, who has the trait Light of the Two Trees because she saw them. The Moriquendi did not, but she did. And for her items, we're looking at the Mirror of Galadriel, Ninya, and Elisar. These are all really powerful. I mean, her stat line is really astronomical. Let's have a look at our decisions. So, our big one is to destroy Dol Guldur for number 1. Starts a war against Overlord Khamul with a war to reclaim Elven homelands Cass's Belly. Breaking a truce, you would spend a bit of prestige and all that if you do that. So, Khamul has got to be a neighbor of your realm, and you do not have a truce with him. As of right now, we have one for 13 years, so you wouldn't be able to fight them right away. You've also got Proclaim the Realm of East Lorien. So eventually, once you conquer pretty much everything down here, you would be able to pick up your empire, the High Kingdom. You've got to control Dol Guldur, and so many other lands too. Let's see. You would be called the Lady of Light. You would gain the Light of the Forest for so many other just overall bonuses. And your level of fame has got to be the Living Legend. So again, it's a great late game goal to have. Oh, and Dol Guldur has a Monlock renewed building, so you could renew Dol Guldur into its proper form. And those are her unique decisions. I mean, like I said, that alone gives you a major goal to work towards. Now back over to Khamul, the Shadow of the East. You've got a series of decisions here that would allow you to desecrate and take over the Greenwood, in addition to other surrounding areas. You've also got sorcery too. You prepare a dark ritual, you need to select the location first, and then the spell. Let's do it over in Dol Guldur. So, you're not able to use magic all the time. Once every 5 years, you'll be weakened. That's okay though. But you're able to have so many different effects. Like here, Call the Horde, 4,000 men, or a chance for it to be 1,620 men. Mark of War, you would gain Red Eye Mark for even more damage for many units. And there's just no limit to the number of spells you have here. FL Beast Mount, Dark Vitality. It's a great way to integrate magic into the game, where it'll make a difference, but you can't just like sling around fireballs all day. That really works for Tolkien's world. Now, let's have a look at our other decisions. You could demand submission to Dol Guldur. You've got evil faith followers who would have to join you. If they choose not to, you get unpressed claims, so you don't have to wait to get claims, which I love. That adds so much flavor. It's saying, hey, look, I'm a Dark Lord over here. Follow me, or I get to get you. And you could just conquer those who are close to you just by pressing wars. Oh, and there's Radagast. He's got Gandalf over in his court. Now back over here. You could subjugate the Withered Court. Again, you've got to completely control Dol Guldur for that one. But independent neighboring rulers with an evil faith and Leofrin culture will be given an ultimatum. You could desecrate Galadrial of Lothlórien, the lands of the Woodland Realm, the Anduin Vale. We've got Dominion of the Sorcerer. You need a lot of prestige, but that gives you your Empire title. You could also subjugate Mount Gundabad over to the northwest. So, if you just want to go out there and conquer and take out your enemies, Dol Guldur is a proper choice for that. Let's have a look at, not our champions, our men-at-arms. So we've got our Orc Rabble. Oh, they are so bad. They're also very cheap too. The Smakor, Skirmishers, Black Oryx, Orc Warriors, Morgul Whites, Orc Pikemen, Blighted Trappers, Orc Archers, okay, a Karagor pack, and Giant Spiders. Oh, Olokai, the Troll Folk, 700 damage. Oh, look at that army. Already, you have a lot in the very beginning. Yeah, you're able to really increase their size to a very high amount that really tracks for the overall aesthetic of what they have going on. They're blighted. Look at all the shrooms. To the east of Mordor, you have Khand, and here they also have unique mechanics for determining how succession works. It's not about the blood of your heir, it's all about their skills and talents. Which means if they're not liked by the vassals of your realm, the realm will shatter. And eventually, once you feel like your heir is ready, you've got to introduce them all to your vassals, and it's got to go well, or again, your realm could shatter. Of course, you could take a different direction and change up succession. So that's another unique way for you to play another faction over here. There's just so much to it. Saruman the White has also been completely reworked too. He's got over 20 new decisions and many event chains. Also, it's not quite finished, but there is early work right now on a good Isengard chain, allowing you to build academies all across Middle-earth, and of course, assemble the White Council. For the Beornings, you've got Grimbeorn Bjornsson of the Vale. Eventually, you could become the Aladigan and have your empire. But, more importantly, he's got the Skin Changer trait. That allows him to use a new decision called Skin Change. It'll take you through a series of events, but you're going to have that kind of lucid state that Grimbeorn gets into whenever he assumes that new form. Before you had the Rohirrim and Rohan, you had the Éothéod. And we've got 3 cultures that diverged from that core culture of the Éothéod. One of them is the Framling culture, right by Mount Gundabad. Over time, you could restore the kingdom and reunite your people. That's pretty cool too, so you could have an alternative pathway. The other branch is right down over here, the Leofring people, and of course those over here in Rohan of the Rohirrim. Let's briefly come back over here to Dorwinion. They have a unique dynastic faction system. You're able to align your dynasty with the Wine Lords or the Master Merchants, and you get even more power with your votes depending on how developed your lands are. So, the richer that your people become, the more power that you have. It's a very unique way for you to pass on power to your heir or whoever might be chosen. So if you want a completely different way on how to handle succession, Dorwinion is a great place for that, not to mention being surrounded by so much evil, but great friends over to the west. Now we're in the southeast corner of the map, where we've got Abrakan, led by one of the Nazgul, the Golden King. He's also a sorcerer, so he's able to use magic. He's quite well educated. His capabilities in combat, very high. And he's got his Mask of the Golden King, in addition to one of the many Ring of Men. I'm not going to go through all of his magical spells. Here's his capital right now, the Gate Pools. And for his decision, we've got request neighboring lands. You've got to border Sauron's realm, but once you do that, you'll be able to get lands from him. Before we look at another faction, check out how they've added in all the Nazgul. They're all here now. And they've also added in many new special map modes. You've got special buildings to see where they're built or where they could be built. Alignment to see how the battle between dark and light is playing out. You've also got tributaries just to get a bit more information about who are the overlords and who are underneath them. You've also got the homelands too. These are areas where the elves consider that to be theirs, and they have unique casus bellis that would allow them to conquer those. See, they're pretty scattered out. Even down over here too in Edhelland. Alright, let's have a look at another one, like trade routes. Yeah, these are trade routes that they're still trying to experiment with. I'm very curious to see how that might play out over time and what gameplay mechanics will stem from that. There's also eye candy, if you just want to kind of look around and see the beautiful map. And of course, we've got our relics to find characters who have relics that you might want to check out or take for yourself. There's a lot. Some you might not be able to find otherwise. Faction overview for 3.0 for Realms in Exile. For those of you who do watch my channel, let me know what type of campaign you want me to do and I'll be sure to do that. It'll be a narrative roleplay campaign, so let me know down below and whatever gets the most upvotes I'll look at in a more serious light. Now beyond that, after the new DLC for CK3 is out, they're going to update the mod to 3.1. So don't worry, they have everything in mind here. If you're a modder too, make sure that you do talk to the team. They can always use more help, especially when it comes to modeling, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I do believe it was modeling. And don't forget, you can find the mod link down below. And also, if you're not a fan of my channel just yet, make sure you do check it out. I'm Surreal Beliefs. I cover a variety of strategy games, including Crusader Kings 3. And I often do it from a more roleplay-centric approach. So there's a lot of storytelling, voice acting, and many other features too, such as little cinematics. All right, enjoy.